God says there comes a moment in every person's journey when words stop being enough. You've held on to promises, believed explanations, and tried to silence the discomfort rising in your spirit. You kept telling yourself that things would change, that his actions would eventually match his voice, that what he said in moments of emotion reflected his true intentions. But deep inside, something has felt off. Something has been whispering for a long time, urging you to pay attention not to the sentences he carefully crafts, but to the pattern he consistently shows. You didn't imagine the inconsistency. You didn't invent the confusion. And you definitely didn't misunderstand the way your heart tightened each time his behavior contradicted his words. That tension inside you was not fear, it was wisdom. It was your spirit trying to guide you even when your emotions wanted to stay attached. It was the beginning of revelation, moving quietly, patiently, waiting for the moment you would finally be strong enough to see clearly. You've made excuses for him because you loved him. Because you wanted to believe the best. Because you saw potential in who he could become if only he showed up with honesty and sincerity. But you cannot build a future on potential. You cannot build trust on theories. You cannot build love on words that do not manifest into action. And the truth is that his voice has always been louder than his effort. There is a difference between someone who speaks beautifully and someone who loves faithfully. There is a difference between someone who tells you what you want to hear and someone who consistently shows you that you matter. You are beginning to realize that this difference is no longer subtle, it is undeniable. And that realization is not coming from fear or insecurity, it is coming from clarity. There will be moments when the truth feels heavy, when revelation feels like loss. But don't confuse revelation with heartbreak. What looks like loss is sometimes protection. What feels like disappointment is sometimes direction. You asked for signs, for clarity, for guidance. And sometimes guidance comes not through doors that open, but through illusions that fall apart. You tried to give him chances. You tried to rationalize the moments he pulled away, the times he vanished emotionally, the promises he made in passion but never followed through in action. You thought love required enduring these cycles, when in reality love requires honesty, presence, and consistency. The cycle you were caught in wasn't love, it was longing. It was holding on to a version of him that existed only in his words. His charm made you hopeful, but his behavior made you uncertain. His apologies softened your heart, but his patterns hardened your spirit. His explanations sounded convincing, but his actions always returned to the same place: distance, distraction, disconnection. And each time, you tried to convince yourself that maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time he meant it. Maybe this time he saw your worth clearly, but the truth has been waiting to speak. And truth has no interest in repeating cycles. This is the moment where God shifts the focus from what he says to what he shows. This is the moment where clarity begins to walk toward you with purpose. The veil that protected your emotions is lifting so you can finally see what your spirit has sensed but your heart didn't want to accept. You are being prepared to witness something that will free you, not devastate you. Something that will confirm what intuition whispered all along. Something that will make you thank yourself for surviving seasons you didn't understand. Don't be fooled by his words, because words cost nothing. Energy tells you everything. Effort tells you everything. Consistency tells you everything. His talk may have been smooth, but his love lacked structure. His sentences were poetic, but his soul was unready. His promises were loud, but his priorities were silent. This is not about demonizing him. It is about releasing the illusion. It is about acknowledging the gap between what he claimed and what he delivered. You didn't fail by believing him, he failed by not living up to what he said. And now, revelation is coming to close the gap between fantasy and truth. You are not being punished. You are being awakened. You are not being rejected. You are being redirected. The patterns you've been ignoring will now become impossible to overlook. The clarity you were afraid to receive will now feel like compassion. The truth you once ran from will now feel like freedom. You might notice small things at first, moments where you see his intentions without romanticizing them. Actions that reveal his priorities without him ever needing to speak. A sudden shift in perspective that shows you the difference between love and convenience. Revelation often begins quietly. It doesn't always arrive with drama. It usually arrives with recognition. You start to see that he loved how you cared for him, but he didn't know how to care for you. He loved how you made him feel, but he didn't know how to make you feel safe. He loved the way you showed up, but he never learned how to show up for you, and yet you kept hoping he would grow. You kept believing he would mature. You kept imagining that one day he would look at you and finally understand the depth of your loyalty. But you cannot force someone to grow. You cannot shape a man through love alone. And you cannot heal someone who refuses to acknowledge their own brokenness. This upcoming revelation will show you why things couldn't move forward. Why you always felt something missing even when the moments felt sweet. Why your heart never fully settled even when he seemed sincere. It will show you the truth beneath the surface, the intentions behind the actions, and the reality behind the promises. You will soon see what his words have been hiding. And when you see it, you will understand why your spirit never felt peace. You will understand why confusion lingered even in moments of intimacy. You will understand why your soul kept searching for confirmation. It's because the truth was always there, waiting for you to become strong enough to see it. You are stepping into a season where revelation becomes your protection, not your pain. You are stepping into a season where clarity becomes your comfort, not your fear. You are stepping into a season where truth becomes your liberation. Not your heartbreak. This is only the beginning of what will be shown to you. There is a moment in every awakening where you stop listening to what someone says and start observing who they are. Words may have kept you holding on, but truth will guide you forward. You are entering the stage where your heart is no longer willing to be persuaded by promises that never turn into reality. You've spent enough time confused, enough time hoping he would transform, enough time trying to interpret mixed signals that were never meant to be mysteries, they were meant to be warnings. You've been loyal to potential, but potential is not the same thing as partnership. You've been loyal to the idea of who he could become, but the idea has been costing you your peace. And God is not going to let you lose yourself for a version of someone that exists only in your imagination. You were not weak for believing him. You were compassionate. You were hopeful. You were giving someone a chance to grow. That does not make you foolish, it makes you human. But there is a difference between giving someone a chance and giving someone your entire spirit while they offer you only fragments of themselves. You don't have to carry guilt for trying. You don't have to feel ashamed for loving. You don't have to apologize for seeing the best in someone who didn't know how to value it. But now is the season to stop confusing attachment with destiny. You have been attached to what you hoped he would become, not what he consistently showed you he was. Attachment makes you stay longer than you should. Attachment makes you reinterpret every red flag into a wounded cry for help. Attachment makes you ignore your intuition until your intuition starts screaming. But revelation breaks attachment. Truth breaks cycles. Clarity breaks the emotional fog that has been blinding you, and that is what is happening now. The fog is lifting. You will start noticing behaviors you once excused. You will see patterns you once overlooked. You will hear double meanings in his words that once sounded comforting. It won't make you bitter, it will make you aware. Awareness is not cruelty, awareness is protection. Protection is not punishment, protection is mercy. Sometimes God reveals someone's true intentions not because you asked for the truth, but because he heard conversations you didn't. He saw actions you couldn't. He observed motives that were invisible to you. And now, because he knows your heart has matured enough to handle it, he is revealing what your emotions once shielded you from. You'll begin seeing that his words were crafted to keep you attached, but his actions were designed to keep you confused. Confusion is not love. Uncertainty is not love. Emotional inconsistency is not love. Love brings clarity, not chaos. Love brings alignment, not anxiety. Love brings safety, not secrecy. If his voice was promising you a future but his habits were preparing to leave you behind, that contradiction was the truth trying to surface. If his messages sounded affectionate but his presence lacked depth, that imbalance was revelation trying to get your attention. If he made you feel chosen only in private moments but left you unacknowledged in the spaces that mattered, that was the exposure of his intentions. Soon you will understand that you weren't waiting for him to choose you, you were waiting for yourself to see the truth. There is nothing more powerful than a heart that finally chooses itself. You survived the confusion. You survived the emotional push and pull. You survived the moments where you felt invisible, unprioritized, or unvalued. You survived hoping something would change only to realize that the only thing changing was you. You were becoming wiser, stronger, more discerning, and what you're about to witness will confirm why your spirit never settled, why your soul always hesitated, why your intuition never fully trusted his sudden moments of affection. God is about to show you the difference between temporary attention and genuine intention. Temporary attention is bright, exciting, and inconsistent. It comes when he feels lonely, bored, or guilty. It fades when commitment is required, when effort is necessary, when truth demands action. Temporary attention is loud at the beginning and silent when it matters. Genuine intention, however, does not disappear. It does not run at the first sign of responsibility. It does not need to be begged for. It does not hide behind excuses or emotional detours. It is steady, clear, patient, and honest. You felt the lack of intention in him for a long time. You tried to explain it away. You tried to hold on to hope. But God will not let you stay attached to someone who is not aligned with where he is taking you. Pay attention to the shift in your thoughts, the shift in your energy, the shift in your emotions. You'll notice you no longer feel the same pull toward his words. You'll notice that promises don't impress you the way they once did. You'll notice that your heart is beginning to detach from the illusion because truth has already started its work, and once truth begins its work, nothing can stop it. No charm. No apology. No sweet moment that tries to erase months of inconsistency. Revelation will override every fantasy you ever built in your mind. What you will see in the coming days or weeks will not shock you. It will clarify you. It will solidify what your intuition has already whispered. It will confirm that your worth cannot thrive in the presence of someone who values your convenience more than your heart. Do not be afraid of what is about to be revealed. Sometimes exposure is the only pathway to freedom. Sometimes clarity is the only doorway to healing. Sometimes revelation is the only way God can protect you from what you cannot see. And when the truth becomes visible, it will not break you. It will build you. You will rise with more wisdom, more peace, more confidence. You will walk away from confusion and step into alignment. You will no longer chase potential, you will wait for purpose. This season is not about heartbreak. It is about liberation. You are being freed from emotional manipulation, from half-hearted affection, from the uncertainty that drained your spirit. You are being released from illusions, from empty promises, from cycles that were never meant to hold your future. What God is revealing is not meant to hurt you, it is meant to rescue you. This revelation will show you everything you need to know. You are stepping into the season where your heart will finally stop fighting battles that were never yours to carry. You're stepping into the season where your spirit will no longer shrink itself just to make someone else comfortable. You're stepping into the season where your worth, your value, your intuition, and your calling will no longer be dimmed by someone who refused to match the love you poured out so generously. This is the season of clarity. This is the season where truth becomes your protection instead of your pain. This is the season where God shows you why He never let certain things work, even when you begged Him to let them live. Because He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you were never meant to carry. And He knows when someone's words were designed to keep you stagnant while God was trying to move you into purpose. You're going to look back on this moment and realize that God wasn't trying to break your heart. He was trying to break you out. He was trying to break you out of the cycle of almost love, almost loyalty, almost effort, almost honesty. He was trying to break you away from the illusions that made you believe you were asking for too much, when really you were settling for far too little. He was trying to break you out of the subtle self-abandonment you practiced just to keep the connection alive. And now that it's over, now that the truth is on its way to you, you're going to realize that not all losses are losses. Some are lifelines. Some are divine reroutes. Some are spiritual rescues disguised as heartbreak. The person you thought you needed was never the person who was going to walk with you into the future God built with your name woven into every corner of it. They were a chapter, not the book. A lesson, not the destination. A mirror, not a home. They showed you what you want, and they showed you what you'll never settle for again. They revealed your loyalty, your patience, your empathy, your strength. And now God is revealing the truth behind their actions so you never again confuse promises with partnership. So you never again confuse sweet words with real investment. So you never again confuse being chosen for convenience with being valued from the soul. The truth God is revealing will not come to destroy you. It will come to release you. It will come to free you from the emotional weight you kept carrying even when your hands were tired, your heart was bruised, and your spirit was whispering that something was off. You tried. You gave. You showed up. You stayed longer than you should have, hoping they would rise into who they said they were. But a person can only fake alignment for so long. A mask can only stay on for so many seasons. When God steps into the story, the truth eventually surfaces, not to punish you, but to protect you, and you will feel that protection. You will feel it the moment you stop resisting the signs. You will feel it the moment you release the version of them you created in your mind. You will feel it when you stop believing that you were unworthy and start realizing that you were unmatched. You will feel it when God replaces the confusion in your heart with peace so quiet and so deep that you won't understand why you ever begged to stay in a place that was draining you. You will feel it when joy returns in ways you forgot joy could even move. You will feel it when the right people begin to appear in your life, speaking the same love they live, matching your effort without being asked, offering consistency without being reminded. This truth God is bringing into your life is not the end of love for you. It is the clearing of the path so love can finally find you. The real kind. The steady kind. The kind that doesn't need to be chased or decoded. The kind that stands firm in storms. The kind that chooses you with clarity, not confusion. The kind that reflects what you've always offered. The kind God always intended for you to experience. A love that doesn't hide. A love that doesn't pretend. A love that doesn't shrink in commitment. A love that doesn't rely on words to convince you because the actions speak with more truth than the lips ever could. You aren't losing anything. You're being repositioned. You are being aligned with someone whose heart is built to love you, not use you. Someone whose character doesn't collapse under pressure. Someone who won't treat you like an option, a backup plan, or a temporary comfort. God is revealing the truth about the one who couldn't love you so he can make room for the one who will, and when that person enters, you will understand why things had to fall apart the way they did. You will understand why the conversation stopped, why the energy shifted, why the distance grew, why the connection weakened, why the signs became impossible to ignore. You will understand why you felt something wasn't right even when you tried to convince yourself everything was fine. That wasn't insecurity. That was discernment. That was the Holy Spirit nudging you. Whispering, look again. Pay attention. Something isn't matching. God wasn't trying to scare you. He was trying to spare you. Soon, everything will make sense. Soon, the truth will come in a way that brings peace, not pain. Soon, you'll look at the situation and realize that God didn't let you lose love. He removed what was blocking real love from reaching you. Soon, you'll feel lighter. You'll breathe easier. You'll wake up with a clarity you've been craving. You'll feel your spirit stretch, your heart open, and your path straighten. You'll feel yourself returning to you, the version of you that trusts, that believes, that hopes, that shines. This is your turning point. This is the moment where the truth sets you free instead of breaking you. This is where God steps in front of the lies, the excuses, the half-efforts, the empty promises, and says, enough. My child deserves better. And you do. You deserve better than almost. Better than confusion. Better than inconsistency. Better than someone who used their words as shelter but used their actions as harm. You deserve alignment. You deserve peace. You deserve love that doesn't require you to beg for clarity. The revelation is coming. The truth is unfolding. The weight is lifting. The season is shifting. You are not walking into loss, you are walking into liberation. And when you finally step into what God has prepared for you, you will whisper to yourself, I'm glad the truth found me. I'm glad the lie ended. I'm glad God stepped in. And deep inside, you will know, you were never being punished, you were being protected.